Hello, my name is DC. I'll be giving you market analysis for Libya and Cape Verde. This was a goal fest, so let's get into this one. Before we start, I forgot to mute. All right, let's get into this one. Okay, so first goal arrives somewhere here. One thing I do like about how this goal starts and how it ends is the speed of play. Because look at this. He receives the ball, right? And all right, so he tries to pressure, but unfortunately, he is open. He probably should be tighter to him so as to make that pass heavier. No, sorry, not to make the pass heavier, but to make it harder for him to receive because he's free to do whatever he wants. A quick 1-2, and he gets past. But what I do like is the speed of play. I think for us to appreciate that more, let's just let it play out. We'll start from a bit behind. No, that's too much. Somewhere here. It's how quick. Boom, boom, just like that. And to be honest, they have there's enough personnel to deal with this because his focus is on the ball. Yes, it should be on the ball, but it should also be at the back. And this is why sometimes the defenders get caught out because the defender has to keep his eye on the ball that's here. And he also has to keep his eye on the defender. Sorry, not defender, but the attacker that's behind him. And that's why maybe he can track the flight of the ball and he can have responsibility of marking the player that is there. Right? So let's let this play out even more. And it's a first time cross. It's whipped in straight out. So now the attacker is the only one that has the benefit or the privilege of just looking at the ball. The defender has to be aware of the ball and also what's behind him. And also the player that's here really should be closer to the marker. He should really be closer in an effort to disturb him, not necessarily get the ball, but disturb him, make that shot harder for him to take. And funny enough, this is why I was mentioning like other defenders, when you're here with different center back partnering, you just get surprised. They start coming closer, closer, closer. Both of them will shout about you. You fall down, but it's not a foul because you don't have the ball and you're moving in between two people. And boom, just like that. That's how quick the ball went into the net. Let's even count that. So this is where everything starts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Within 5 seconds, it's in the back of the net. Very good speed of play. Excellent. It's how quick they're able to play the ball. And because of that speed of play and quick decision making, that's what gets them the goal. I also think that's an own goal, but that's probably a story for another day. All right, so this is where the other goal gets scored from. So everything is okay. Back five, right? He is the only attacker here. And they have another good line, a good solid line of players so that, they prevent the ball going here. Even though no player, sorry, is it Libya? Let's see. No, Libya are the ones that have scored. No, there's no Cape Verde player there, right? So if we play this through, right, he has the ball, and then the number I think that's number 17. He does well to pressure him on the ball. That's quite okay. And also he's here just in case his man gets beaten or his teammate gets beaten, and also just in case he decides to play the ball there, he's in a good position to go and cut the cross and also be here just in case he gets past him and to prevent him from doing anything funny, right? But now this is the part that so he turns. And at this point is where everything goes wrong because he removes the pressure that he's applied. Because if he continued with the pressure that he applied instead of stepping back, what could have probably happened is that maybe he forces it off him, because he's under pressure, he makes a bad touch, goes out of play. Or if possible, yeah, he might play it into him, but realistically, where is he going to score? And there's about three players that could go ahead and pressure him. So the mistake that he made was letting go of the player that had the ball. He should have continued with the pressure so that he forces him backward. And then, as we can see here, let me pull out this one. It's a 3v2 here. Yeah, I know he's slightly ahead, but he's still in a position where he could recover even if the ball is crossed. Now, what happens here is surprising. He has the ball, right? He gives him even more space once again. He should be pressuring. Not really pressuring, but he should be forcing him to go down the line. That's what you should be doing because what you don't want to do is to have balls moving like that. Well, you don't want to be dealing with crosses or balls that are directly going into your box because so much can happen. He gives him the space and then look at the separation. He was touch tight to him. He took a step back and then the distance has just been increasing. And don't forget, they have enough personnel to deal with this. But unfortunately, everything's changed. Remember, it was a 3v2, so this is practically a 2v2 because he stepped up. I do not know why. He is supposedly marking him, and he is supposedly marking him. Now, the problem is that there's not enough contact or distance in between the two. This is too far away. This is also too far away. And let's see what happens when the cross comes in. Cross goes in, just like that, because he lost his. Sorry. So, whenever you're marking someone, you have to be in a touching distance. You have to be in a position where you're able to, engage in physical contact. That would be shoulder shrugging, so maybe pushing, or even just being there to bump into him as he jumps. Because if you do not do that and he gets the jump early and the cross comes in like that, he has a free goal to head into. And I feel let's say the keeper. So he's all right. So keeper makes an error. Let's just keep track of the keeper here. Let's look at the amount of movement he does. So let's let this play, right? So he rushes out. You see, he anticipates that he's going to catch that, but he doesn't. And then by the time he's tracking back and going back to his line, he is already unsteady. His foot is planted and he cannot make the jump. It's not planted where he can explode off it. It's planted because he was taking steps back and trying to set himself. So in setting himself, he's removed whatever opportunity he has to dive. And yeah, I do feel if the keeper doesn't try to go out for that, he probably could have saved that. All right, let's head on to the next goal. Oh, somewhere here, right? All right. Cross comes in, right? He chests it down. And as he chests it down, what do we notice here? Let's pull out the big square. Big square is supposed to be slightly higher. Big square should be here. Much better. What do we notice? There's a gap here. I know it doesn't seem like much, but he can still penetrate. He can still use this to run through and then, just take advantage of the space that's there. He should be either drop deep or just stand here because what you want to do is to close the gap. Because initially, what it is that this does not seem like a lot of space, but he can run through unchallenged. So what you want to do is he should be this. He can either drop here or drop here, but he wants to be in a position because his back is turned to go. So the only place he can take the ball is here. He can turn and try to shoot, but we all know that that will not work out. So the only option he has to take is to take it here. Number six, I'm sure, has identified this space, but unfortunately, instead of him taking a few steps forward and facing, let's see, he goes there, then he starts facing this way. He doesn't. He continues to watch. And by the time he does that, it's a little too late. He doesn't get set early enough, and the player is quick. What I think I do like, I don't know if it's because I don't know if it's because the play is slightly, maybe it's on a slightly higher speed, but the speed of play is very quick. He chests it down, takes a touch like number six should have gone earlier. Unfortunately, he didn't. And then you have this two players trying to go for the ball, especially in this position. What happens is that, okay, since he failed to get there, he should immediately drop deeper. That's why I suggested he drops deeper here, so that just in case of cases, right? Because what you're basically doing is telling him, don't worry. You don't know where to score. We'll stand right in between each other and you can go right in between us. And that's what happens. And don't forget that this is the man that trapped the ball, right? He brought it down. Let's see what happens in the next few seconds. He goes past them. That's a lovely piece of skill. Little La Croqueta, left foot, right foot. He goes ahead to shoot. He saves it. But remember the player that was here? Yeah, the one that chested the ball down in order for his teammate to get on it. Look at where he is now. And just like that, runs with it and finishes it off. That's a great goal. And funny enough, I expected him to be celebrating with his teammate that's there. I wonder why he's celebrating solo. Yeah, I know he did the dribbling, but he's the one that got the ball. So, leaving way too many spaces. Number six, not being able to cover that space or just drop deeper for the sake of for the sake of to provide support or cover the defense. And good piece of skill there. And eventually that leads to a goal. Let's check for the next goal. Somewhere here, that's where the next goal is scored. Not this one. Here. This one was a rocket. I can't really blame the keeper. This one gives us a very, like, he just hits it. But I think I think he can. I think he can get this. But it's a good strike, but I do feel he can and should be able to get to this. It doesn't feel like he jumps as high as he probably could. Let's try and analyze. Maybe we can see something with the way he sets his foot. All right, so his 2 feet are there, fronted, right? Then let's see how far he's able to jump off that foot. So he takes another bit of a shuffle, a bit of a step, and then that's where he plants it. And by that time, I think the ball has already arrived, and there's nothing he can do. Maybe he could have shortened maybe the steps. I'm not a goalkeeper, so please mind. I may be saying the wrong things. But yeah, he could have just leaped off because I think those mini shuffles he took may have taken out some power from his initial jump. Let's go to the next goal of the game. Next goal of the game. All right, so this one, if I'm the coach, I have to start asking questions. Questions like, how much were you paid? Because you have seen what the ball is, right? This is what. Oh, sorry, this is not the right one. This is where the ball is. This is where the ball is, right? And look at where he scores from. So, and okay, I can't really get upset if there's no one pressuring him because everyone has dropped deep, as you can see there. And then what's the likelihood from scoring from here, right? What's the likelihood? Very, very low. The likelihood is very low, but it's never completely zero. Because look at what happens. He shoots it from there, and then it manages to get past it. Like, come on. If I'm the coach, I'm asking questions. How much were you paid? Do we not pay you enough? What was the agreement? Because no, that's unacceptable. From there, I know humans make mistakes, but nah. I mean, just look at where the goal is scored from. It's there almost, and the only thing I could say that he could do is get on his knees so that as he is putting his hands down to grab the ball, the knees act as a backup. So if the ball miraculously gets past his hands, his thighs should be able to, stop that. But still, that's very questionable, and he knew. He really knew, but otherwise, I would be making him run a few laps. That's just me, though. All right, so this is all right. Well, this is a chance, but what I do like is that the keeper does redeem himself in a way. All right, so boys play long, and funny enough, that's so that is a 3v3, and he is ahead of the center back, or he's most likely going to get the ball before the center back that's here, and that's a problem, right? And then boom, so he chests it down, and then now that's frustrating. That's frustrating me. All right, so the defender is here, right? This is where he is, and this is where the defender is. Let's see where he is as the ball arrives. So why is he running away? At that point, plant yourself, but track back at a slower pace than the attacker so that you eventually meet at some point. Because what he does, he gives the attacker all the space he needs. Because instead of him pressuring him as he is trying to put that ball under control, he decides to sit and watch. I kid you not, he's watching. And then boom, ball is played. And funny enough, he could have also done a dink ball here or some kind of Kevin De Bruyne pass to the person because he's in so much space. But like here, this is keeper appreciation. Because look at how quick the keeper, boom, immediately he sees that pass. He is on that. That's a very good save, really is. Very good save. Kudos to the keeper, but that goal you still allowed to enter your post. No, 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 no. That shouldn't have happened. All right, so this is the last goal of the game. Takes it wide. All right, at this point, he really does need help. He needs his teammate. Probably a few steps forward. Come here. Here exactly. Because he is going to be able to recover in case the ball goes there. But if he takes it here, he has to be the one to take a few steps forward and just be there to distract him. That's what happens. He instead of going further, so instead of going in front, he takes even more steps backwards, giving him more space to pull out that cross, and then boom. Uh, so no one was being marked in that set. No one. It was practically a free fall. So him should have immediately taken a few steps forward so that if the ball goes here, he can follow that. And if it goes here, he can deal with that. But unfortunately, he doesn't. Takes a few steps back. And then here, this melee that's here. No one is marking anyone. 1, 2, 3 are unmarked. Do you know why? He is facing here. His shoulders are facing there. His shoulders are facing there. His shoulders are facing somewhere there. But everyone's attention is somewhere here. No one's attention is behind them. And they are so free to do whatever they want. Cross into the box. They are unmarked. They get first contact. And through a melee, a few deflections, gets to him and he scores the goal. Look, even the reserves want to go and help him get the ball. And he's excited, you can tell. They were 3-1 down and they brought it back to 3-3. So I don't know. I think it deflects off the player's foot there. So I don't know what happens here. I also don't, maybe, anyway, don't know what happened. Camera angle doesn't really help us. But otherwise, that was by match analysis. Lots of goals, very interesting game. And I will see you in the next match analysis.